So you mentioned the previous owner or the seller still being on board. How important is it for you to keep the seller on board when you buy a new business? And then also, as you continue to grow, if you were to acquire another company that's similar to Stateline or Pool King, do you think you'd need to or even want to keep the sellers on board since you've developed your own processes?
It's important for sure. With this particular company, actually, the owner is still working for us. So I see he found out what retirement really looks like, and he did not like it. You can only play golf so many days a week, and I think he's probably mid-70s right now. He loves what he does. He's knowledgeable. He takes pride in what his knowledge. I mean, it's something that he's done his entire life, and just not doing that anymore. It's difficult. I don't think that I would ever want to retire, and if I did, I'd still want to feel important. So he still works with us. He's doing a lot of estimating and bidding, but it was very challenging because he ran his business his way, and whenever we started coming in and putting systems in place, it was tough. And we actually got to a point where his wife was still the bookkeeper, and we needed to get somebody else that knew how to use QuickBooks Online, that could send emails, that was just faster. And she didn't want him working in the business if she wasn't working in the business. So we kind of held hostage for a little bit, and it was a challenge, and it was a delicate situation because we still wanted him to be on there. But no, it's difficult. I mean, we were all, and now he's not he doesn't make decisions. He's just doing the work, and he's completely fine with that. But it was difficult for him to let go because he was consistently criticizing us for the things that we were doing, even if they were right, even if they were better. And him getting frustrated, yelling at people, yelling at, my employees, I'd have to talk him off a ledge and calm him down and let him know where his place was in the company. And so it was difficult. But again, back then we needed him, it was technical. And some of these big jobs that we take on, somebody with that experience it's invaluable. So it's difficult. With Florida Pool and Pool King, the agreement normally whenever you sign an agreement, they'll do the standard, I guess, is about 30 to 60 days. So, if you're walking into a business that is a little bit easier to understand, pools aren't super technical. If you have a key person in place, that key person can usually run it. If you don't have that key person in place, you're that key person now, and you should have that experience, and you're going to have to learn on the fly. So if you're buying a business and you have zero clue about pools, about garage doors, you better make sure that those key employees are going to be there, or at least you have somebody to lean on that's going to be able to educate you in the process.
How are you ensuring they stay in place, or can you even ensure they stay in place?
You can't. So you talk to the owner, and they can tell you whatever they want, and you just trust them, and you build that trust through due diligence and having conversations. We had a good feeling with Pool King. They've been around for 40 years. It's his baby. He spent a lot of really hardworking years in that, and he did not want to see somebody take this thing over and run it into the ground. So there was, in the agreement, I think it said 60 days that he would stick around, but he told me in the beginning, him and his wife said, we'll stick around as long as it's necessary. And honestly, he's like, you might get an employee out of it because I don't know what I'm going to do in retirement. And we're still trying to figure that out right now. We took over in May of 23, and him and I still have conversations. He was actually in yesterday, and I give him an update, just kind of make him feel good, let him know what's happening, improvements that we're making, decisions that I made, struggles I'm going through. But it's hard for him. He's having a difficult time dealing with this because you work your entire life and you put your heart and soul into something. You, as business owners, you live and breathe this stuff, and sometimes you kind of forget about yourself. You don't have hobbies, and he's kind of going through that right now. And with Florida Pool, he was done. It was like 30 days came up. He said, hey, I'm done tomorrow. And we ended up we had a dinner, And I asked him, I said, you got anything to say, to the crew before you get out? He said, goodbye, I'm out of here. So enjoy it. I'm going to Florida. So, yeah, he was ready to go, but he was a little bit younger, and, he had hobbies, he had things that he really enjoyed. So I think his work-life balance was a little bit better than the other owner. But yeah, it's important to go back. Sorry, I go off on tangents sometimes, but it's really important to have these people on. Just be aware that they might be toxic to the business, or they might be micromanagers that are going to be questioning you on everything that you're doing. And at some point, you're going to have to break that tie. And, Florida Pool, we didn't have a decision. He was done. And we figured it out. With Pool King, there's a lot more involved. There's a buying group. There's a lot of vendors that we deal with. But the company it could run itself, but they've always been used to somebody micromanaging the business. So, and then you do need a decision maker to kind of have that final say. So, but yeah, he's sticking around. We're going to use him when we have questions and stuff like that. But I think just getting a relationship with the owner and just making it known, like, look, like I might run into some problems. If you wouldn't mind me reaching out, most of them are more than happy to do that. And then if they are pushed back a little bit, you could say, look, like, I'll pay you for your time. You could be a consultant, agree on a hourly rate. And for them to be able to pick up the phone or jump on a computer anywhere that they're at, like, if they're going to make some good money from it, then they're usually pretty receptive to that.